Hello and welcome back to the Buckle Up YouTube channel. My name's Rob Wilson and this is the Mitsubishi iMiEV. I'll just say the full name, the Mitsubishi Intelligent Mitsubishi Innovative Electric Vehicle thing. So let's start at the front then, well, it's not a looker, is it? I think more than 50% of the front of this car is actually just windscreen. It looks like it's got a bit of a five head going on. There isn't really that much to talk about, apart from, you know, the same with all electric cars, there's no real grille, it's just this little bit along the bottom. But what I can do is open up this portion so we can see what treasures lie beneath. How does one... How does one? Well,
so slide your hand.
Oh, there I can see. And it has the world's most ridiculous bonnet strut, which is this thing here, which you then have to. There. Lovely. So we can see we've got not a lot really. I mean, that's the battery for the car. Is that coolant?
Yeah.
And then brake fluid, a couple of fuses and stuff down there, I think. And is that the washer fluid, which has got some tape over it, probably for some reason? I can't quite decide what that reason would be. But if we, oh, hang on, that's fallen out anyway. If we close that up, we can see is that actually on? So now that's all closed, we get an excellent look at these electric volts lightning motifs. There's one on the front, and then if we work our way down the side, we can see there is an absolutely enormous one here. It's quite a weird shape. It looks almost like a smart car that someone's added about 3 feet in the middle of and put a door on the back. But like up to here, ignore this bit of the car, to here, smart car, put a wheel there. Bit strange. The wheels, would you call that a 3-spoke alloy? I don't know. It's a rare alloy design nowadays. Now what are the tyres on this? I'm actually quite interested. 145, 65s and 15-inch alloys. That's nothing, is it? That's like a piece of paper.
It's like a bike.
Yeah. I've just noticed these. I didn't realise quite how far they went forward. Interesting design choice. There are 2 chargers on this car. There's one on this side, which is your normal plug it into the wall at home one. And then the one on the other side is a fast charger, which can be used at any Renault, Nissan, you know, port that is out there. So I think it can charge in about 6 hours from this side, or about 30 minutes from that side. It just depends if you can find a free electric charging station somewhere that actually works. Here we can see the lovely badge that Mitsubishi made for the i-miev. I always stands for intelligent for some reason. All electric cars seem to want to have I in them somewhere. Volkswagen ID, BMW I range. What else electric car wise is there? I-Pace. You have a lovely sticker just to let everyone know that you are 100% electric and also 100% the slowest person on the roads. No, I'm joking. And another nice, this time in red, electric Volts decal. Shall we open up the boot and have a look what's inside there? Nice. So as you can see, it's tiny and it doesn't go down anymore because underneath there somewhere is all the electronic gubbins. Oh yeah, danger of death. So don't touch that. So you're pretty much stuck if you want to take anything more than a couple of bags of shopping anywhere. But I guess as this is a city car, you're not going to be doing that often, I wouldn't have thought. One thing I have noticed is the boot makes a nice noise. And wherever you leave the boot on the way down, oh, it stays there. Oh, there's a, ooh. Nice. Shall we move inside? Welcome to the back seats of the i-miev, where there isn't really that much room. Actually, to be fair, I'll start with a positive, which is normally in this size of car, I wouldn't have headroom. But because the Mitsubishi iMiEV is 17 feet tall, it feels like, I've got plenty of, well, not plenty of headroom, I have headroom. Knee room, on the other hand, doesn't really exist. This seat is sort of in my driving position. It's actually slightly moved forward and my knees don't really fit behind it. I'm gonna have to sit like that. But if I do that, my legs are now rubbing against this incredibly cheap plastic door. Seat belts. You can only fit 4 people in this car. There isn't a middle seat, and thank God for that, because if there was, there'd be some crushed children somewhere, which would be unfortunate. There is actually a transmission tunnel, which I wasn't expecting, because the Tesla didn't have one, so I just assumed all electric cars wouldn't, but this one does.
It's almost like the Tesla's well engineered.
Do you know what? Yes. Oh, there's Isofix. I wouldn't personally put any of my children, not that I have any, but my imaginary children, anywhere near this car. But that's another story. You do get some pockets on the back of the seats, but they feel, I don't know what they feel like, but it's not like anything nice. There's a nice exposed screw here where they've fastened the centre bit where the handbrake is to the back of the car. Just so you know, this car came out in 2011, so it's 10 years old, and it was produced to 2015.
How much did it cost in 2011, Rob?
In 2011, it cost 38,000. And I know what you're thinking. 38,000 what? Starbursts? Pennies? No, Great British pounds. 38,000 pounds. Or, for example, a Golf R and 5 grand worth of cash to spend on the fuel that you probably saved by buying one of these. There was actually another YouTube channel called, let's say it rhymes with Tar Trottle, at the time, that reviewed one of these, and they compared it with buying a Fiesta and spending the money on the fuel, and buying one of these and obviously it being charged up pretty much for free. And they figured out that if you didn't live in London, it would take 14 years for this to actually pay back the difference between just buying a petrol Fiesta. If you did live in London, then the congestion charge did make a difference, and it would only take 7 years to see the money back from one of these. So excellent value for the Mitsubishi iMiEV. Right now, they're worth about 6 grand. And speaking with the owner of this one, he said that they were 38 grand when they were new. As soon as you bought it and driven it for a week, they were half that, and then by the second week they were half of that again. So maybe not a good purchase if you bought one when they first came out, but as a second-hand city runabout, maybe it makes more sense. But we'll move into the front, hopefully, if I can get out of this seat. Oh, my foot's stuck. There we go. So here we are in the front of the iMiEV, and I'm afraid to say things don't get a whole lot better up here. All of the materials, I think, are made of melted down wheelie bins. The door has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pieces of nasty plastic on it, which is unfortunate. In the center console, you've got your air conditioning controls that are pretty much standard on most cars, and your vents. But then for some reason the radio is right up at the top. This is an aftermarket one, so it's got a little remote control to operate it. Further down, all the things that you can do is turn on and off the passenger airbag. There's a 12-volt socket down there, so presumably you can put some sort of charger in to make it a USB. You've got a cup, well, I'm saying it's a cup holder, but I don't really know what sort of cup you're going to get in there. Over this side, you've got a glove box, which opens really nicely. There is a cup holder here. Not really sure what sort of drinks you're going to be putting in there. And that's sort of it for features. There is a heated seat. A heated seat, not the passenger, just me, which is down there. And a traction control button, so you can go drifting. These seats are horribly uncomfortable. I do have to say that. They're really hard. There's no give at all. The ones in the back are even worse. It's like sitting on a bus, to be absolutely honest. Okay, so now we've had a look round, shall we go for the world's shortest test drive? Because this car has a current range of 28 miles and it's 3/4 full. So, we're now out on the road in the i-miev, and well, it's an interesting experience. You feel like you're sitting up in a lorry. The sensation of speed is bizarre because it says I'm doing 40 miles an hour, but out the windscreen it does not look like I'm doing 40 miles an hour. It feels like I'm doing about 12. The steering is numb, to say the least, and the suspension must be unbelievably soft because there is quite a lot of lean and roll in this car as as Harry gets smashed about in the back. We have noticed that if you turn the heaters on for any amount of time, the miles drop in real time, so we have turned all air conditioning systems off for the duration of the review, just to absolutely eke out every mile that we can. I'm conscious that the range is constantly dropping. There is a handy little gauge in the centre here that says if you're being eco or not, and then you can go into the charge zone because this car has regen. I explained that when I drove the Tesla, but I can put it in 3 different driving modes, I guess. D is for drive, then I can put it into B, like that, and now that's in braking mode, so that increases the regen. So when I lift off at 50 miles an hour, oh, that is quite, oof, potholes. So that's slowing me right down to like 30 miles an hour, which is nice. There's also another mode, which is, it's got the letter C next to it, which is driving but with less regen. I think it's supposed to stand for coast, for coasting, so let's put it in there, and I lift off, and it's coasting a little bit, isn't it, I guess, but not as much as...
There's not as much as clutching.
No. A few of the stats on this car, it's got 133 foot-pounds of torque, because electric motors are very torquey, and as I've said before, driving electric cars, all of that torque's available instantly, so it feels probably quicker than most city cars off the line, but as soon as you're up to, well, not even motorway speeds, it's going to lag behind them. Brake horsepower is around 64 horsepower or something, so it's about the same as a base Volkswagen Up or a base Hyundai i10 in that respect. I don't actually know what the 0 to 60 time on one of these is. I imagine not very quick. I don't know if I've got enough charge to even try and do a 0 to 60 run. Right, there's no one behind us, so I'm going to actually just stop very briefly, and 3, 2, 1. Yeah, that's quite slow. 40, 45, 50, 55, and 60 miles an hour.
Indicated.
indicated 60 miles an hour. God knows if that's actually correct. My mileage has just dropped quite considerably after doing that. So that was 60 miles an hour, but the top speed of the car is a little bit debated actually on the internet. Some people say 80, some say 85. I suspect it probably has rather a lot to do with how much you had for your breakfast. It's not got a lot of pull after, well, 40 miles an hour really. The visibility in the car is actually rather excellent because of those enormous windows. The wing mirrors are actually quite big, which I wasn't expecting. You can see out the back nicely. This windscreen is absolutely enormous, and you can see right down. What I have noticed, and you can probably hear it best while we're stuck here at this junction, is the windscreen wiper sounds absolutely insanely loud compared to everything else. Because I guess it's electric and it doesn't make any noise, that's going to get annoying, that because there's no engine noise to mask any of that. So the battery pack, potholes. The battery pack is 16 kilowatts, which is about that big, and it is a lithium-ion pack. The claimed mileage when this was new was somewhere between 90 and 100 miles. This has got just below half a tank, and it says we've got 21 miles of range left, so it's realistically a 40 to 50 mile car. Because we've got 20 miles of range left, we're going to see what it's like on some twisty roads. Oh my Christ. Okay, so it leans a lot. And yeah, the steering is incredibly vague. I've got no real clue what it's doing. It is rear wheel drive, so in theory the front wheels, all they've got to do is steer, but they don't feel very comfortable doing that. As I was saying before, it's 145 tyres, so they're very narrow, so I don't think there's going to be that much in the way of grip. Let's avoid those potholes. It feels like it's going to tip over. Oh. Harry feels seasick, and his previous role in life was on a cruise ship, so that gives you an idea of just what the suspension's like. Let's go into the corner. Oh yes! I can't hold her, Captain! I can't hold her! Oh! This is horrible! Oh, I can't actually get over how genuinely awful this steering is. Harry's complaining in the back. Should we just try the brakes in general? There's nothing behind us.
Well, you want to try an emergency stop?
Well, maybe not an emergency stop, but...
I mean, I'm braced.
Ready?
Yeah. Not bad.
Oh. Right then, how to sum up this car? Well, the average commute in the UK is only about 7 miles, so if your commute is 7 miles or less, then 6 grand is probably an alright price to pay for a car like this. If your commute isn't 7 miles or less, and you would have to stop 27 times on the way to work, then obviously this isn't the car for you. You need something like a Tesla with a longer range. But it's not the best made car in the world, it's not the nicest car to sit in the world, but if you're going to be doing very short journeys to and from the shops, if you live in the city, if it's going to stop you having to pay congestion charge, maybe it's worth your time. Is it worth my time? No, absolutely not. But this car is not aimed at me. So you just have to weigh up your options. Is that practical for me in the real world? So I've just been shot at. It's Mitsubishi. So thank you very much for watching. Remember to like, comment down below, let me know your thoughts, and also subscribe to the channel. You can follow us on social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Drive Tribe. We've got a Patreon account if you want to give us some of your money for some reason. We've also got some lovely merch, which you can find on our Spreadshop link in the description. Thanks very much, and I guess I'll see you next time, hopefully in something a little bit nicer than this.